Happy Thursday, fourth graders. Today in math, we are on lesson 1.4. We are rounding numbers, so we are trying to figure out how can you round numbers. We're going to start with unlocking the problem. During May 2008, the Mount Rushmore National Monument in South Dakota welcomed 138,202 visitors. A website reported that about 100,000 people visited the park during that month. Was the estimate reasonable? So we are going back to see if the estimate was reasonable. So what was the estimate? Keyword for estimate when it says about. So 100,000. So we're trying to figure out if 138,202 is about 100,000. It says underline what you were asked to find, which is here. Circle the information that you will use. You can circle this like it's asking you to. I usually tell my students to underline or circle. Basically, you're picking out the important information, and that's the most important, is using those testing strategies. An estimate, say estimate, tells you about how many or about how much. It is close to an exact amount. You can round, say round, a number to find an estimate. So one way you can do that is to use a number line. To round a number to the nearest 100,000, find the 100,000s that it is between. So if this one starts at 100,000, and what is the next 100,000? That would be 200,000. Use a number line to see which 100,000, 138,202 is closer to. So if you're looking between 100,000 and 200,000, halfway is 150,000. Therefore, 138,202 is closer to, fill that blank in, 100,000 than 200,000. So 100,000 is a reasonable estimate for 138,202. Number 1 at the bottom says, what number is halfway between 100,000 and 200,000? So use your number line up at the top if you need it. Did you get 150,000? Number 2, how does knowing where the halfway point is help you find which 100,000 the 138,202 is closer to? Explain. So I don't necessarily want you to write this out, but I want you to talk through this. Talk through how you know. How is knowing the halfway point helpful when you're finding which 100,000 it's closest to? So if you're rounding to the 100,000 and you take a look to your right, I always think about right and round. They both start with R's. So if you're looking to the right, that is a 3. Our saying in 4th grade is 5 or above gives it a shove. Four or below keeps it down low. If you did not write that along with me, go ahead and write that now. Pause the video and copy that down. We will say that a lot. So, knowing the halfway point helps to tell you if it's closer to the lesser number or the higher number when you're rounding. The lesser number or the greater number, I'm sorry, when you're rounding. Okay. Go ahead and turn over on the back. This is another way. This is using place value versus a number line, which is kind of what I showed you right here. Okay. Mount Rushmore is located 5,725 feet above sea level. About how high is Mount Rushmore above sea level to the nearest 1,000 feet? So what information are we looking for? We're looking for the nearest 1,000 feet, and then we need this number to work with. So if we're rounding a number to the nearest 1,000, you're looking at the thousands it's between. So it makes it pretty easy on us because whatever's in the thousands place, it's either going to be that amount of thousands or the next one. So it's either going to be 5,000 or, say it out loud, 6,000. Look at the digit in the place value position to the right. So rounding, you're looking to the right. The digit in the hundreds place is 7. So 5,725 is closer to 6,000 than 5,000. So Mount Rushmore is about 6,000 feet above sea level. I want you to take a second and answer this question out loud to yourself. Explain it like you're explaining it to a friend in class. Explain the difference in using a model, which is your number line, and using place value when rounding numbers. Just explain in your own words what the difference is. Pause the video and explain in your own words. Okay, on number 3, we're gonna put this into practice. What number is halfway between 70,000 and 80,000? So those are really big numbers, but we can think about what's halfway between 70 and 80. And that's 75. So that would be 75,000. So what is 75,000 rounded to the nearest 10,000, and explain why? Okay, what is 75,000 rounded to the nearest 10,000? Well, if you look at 75,000 and you're rounding it to the nearest 10,000, so you're rounding it to the 10,000 spot. Take a look to your right. What was our saying? 5 or above gives it a shove. 4 or below, keep it down low. So that's a 5 or above. It's going to shove that 7 up to an 8. So the answer is 80,000. And a possible explanation is since 75,000 is exactly halfway between 70,000 and 80,000. Round to the greater 10,000. When a number is exactly halfway between two rounding numbers, you round to the greater number. And that goes right along with our saying. Our 5 or above, give it a shove, 4 or below, keep it down low. It goes exactly with that. Try these on your own. Pause the video, and when you're done, check your answers. For 64,999, did you still get 60,000? They tried to trick you because all those nines usually mean that you go up, but there's a 4 next to it. So on B, you're rounding to the nearest 100,000. So that would be 900,000. On C, you're rounding to the nearest 1,000. 302,000. And lastly, on D, you're rounding to the nearest 1,000. That would be 11,000. Give yourself a pat on the back if you got all of those correct before we checked our answers. I know lots of you did. Alrighty, number 1 on the Sharon Show says, suppose 255,113 people live in a city. Is it reasonable to say that about 300,000 people live in the city? Use the number line to help you solve the problem and explain. So you've got to use the number line and explain. So you're plotting it on the number line and then explaining. So on the number line, where would 255,113 be? Well, it's going to be close to the 250,000. So is it going to be a little less or a little more? A little more. So these are each broken up into 10,000. So that would be 210,000, 220,000, 230,000, 240,000. There's 250,000. So this one will be 260,000. So it goes pretty close to in between there. Okay, so answer the question, is it reasonable to say about 300,000 people live in the city? Yes, it is reasonable to say, you're just restating, about 300,000 people live in the city because $255,113 rounded to the nearest what did it round it to? The nearest 100,000 is or equals 300,000. Okay. Right below that, we're gonna do number 3 and we're gonna do number 5. If you wanna try it on your own and pause the video and then come back and check your answers, do that. Otherwise, do it with me as I talk through it. So we are rounding to the place value of the underlined digit. So the place value of the underlined digit is the 10,000s place. So if we were rounding to the 10,000s place, that 10,000s place is either going to remain a 4 or be shoved up to a 5. So take a look to the right. 5 or above, give it a shove. 4 or below, keeps it down low. And that's a 1. So it's going to keep it down low. So 640,000. Everything on the right side becomes a 0. And I like, because they use the word round, because zeros are round. Everything to the right, it kind of goes with rounding. So everything to the right becomes a 0. Now take a look at number 5. That's also in the 10,000s place. Take a look to your right. 5 or above, gives it a shove. 4 or below, keeps it down low. So that's a 7, that's above a 5. So it's gonna shove that 4. So that answer is 350,000. I want you to circle number 6. Circle number 6, because that's going to be your exit ticket. That's going to be your exit ticket. But I want you to flip over on the back. I want us to do a little bit of problem solving here. And looking at number 8. It says, go deeper. Think a little bit deeper here. If you want to give this a shot without any help, pause the video and then come back and check the answer. Otherwise, walk through it with me. A male elephant weighs 6,728 pounds. A female elephant weighs 5,843 pounds. To the nearest 100, what is the total weight of the 2 elephants? So we need to know how large the male elephant is, how large the female elephant is, okay? And then we need to know the total weight of both elephants to the nearest 100. Okay, so to the nearest 100, we want to know their total weight. So we've got some space out here to work. So we know we're gonna add those 2 things together, but we're also gonna estimate them first, okay? So we're gonna round each of those to the nearest 100 and then combine those weights. So if we're rounding the male to the nearest 100, that's 6,728 to the nearest 100. We're gonna look to the right. It's 4 or below, so we're keeping it down low. So that 7 stays the same. 6,700. And then for the 5,843, rounding to the nearest 100, we're looking to the right. That's 4 or below, so we're keeping that 8 down low as well. So 5,800 then we're simply adding those two together. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 7 plus 8 is, say it out loud, 15. Carry over your 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Plus 5 is 12. So to the nearest 100, the total weight of the two elephants is 12,500 what? Always label those units. When it's asking that, always label those units. Pounds. All right, guys, go back to number 6 on your own. Underline the key information. Use all of your testing strategies that you've been taught. Remember, 5 or above gives it a shove. 4 or below keeps it down low. Once you work that out, enter it into your exit ticket for the day.